Good morning, everyone. How are you guys out here on this thankful Thursday? Remember to smile. Before I start reading, everything happens for a reason. Uh, Last Thursday, we read about one basic principle, a warning to complete your journey, the 10 meanings of events in our lives, and the title was 10 Reasons, One Basic Principle, and Inside the Mind of God. This Thursday, April the 13th, 2018, coming upon yourself in the midst. I might take my glasses off to read because it's kind of small, but I'm going to do what I can here. Why in the world is it so hard for us to become the people we were meant to be? Why is it so hard? It should be easy. It was certainly no problem for a dog, Davy, and my cats, Tippy and Camellia, to lead lives in which they were profoundly true to themselves. No authenticity problem there. I think people today have trouble being who they really are because as social creatures, we live in hierarchical world in which we're highly dependent on others. So to get what we need, we sometimes have to become less likely the people we authentically are. We do this to gain approval, to pursue a livelihood, to hold a network of a relationship intact. I can't tell you how many people told me that in order to survive in this world, they have to wear a mask. But you can only give so much of yourself away before you lose yourself. Yeah, we lose ourselves. Being caught up in everybody else's stuff. We don't take time to love ourselves. This is why it's sometimes such a struggle for us to reconnect with our real selves. But then something bad happens that gives you just what you need to reconnect to your authentic self and life. Many years ago, the poet Dana Gioia, currently chairman of the National Endowment for the Arts, lost his firstborn, who died of sudden infant death syndrome. He was only 4 months old. As Gio put it, grief went through our lives like a wildfire. Yeah. You have to wonder how there could possibly be any redemptive meaning in the death of an infant or death of anybody. But it's precisely when it feels most impossible that there could be a reason that it's most important to find one. And all you see, Geo found it. Of course, the reason may not justify what happened or give you back something or equal value. To be honest with you, I don't think a million meanings justify even one death. But this is not cosmic accounting. The meaning we get aren't intended to make up for what we've lost. I don't think we're looking for full compensation anyway. It's not necessary. Whatever happened, happened. It's over. The loss is the loss. Now the question is whether there will be any gain, and that can only come by understanding the meaning of what happened. I think most of the time that if we can just find some good that comes out of what happened, we don't feel we need to try to balance the books. Losing your loved ones, if they're suffering, you don't want to see someone suffering in pain and agony, and you're used to seeing them energetic, doing things, functioning. But you need some reason so that out of the ashes, what happened, you can say you found something you needed, not nothing. Once you find a personally compelling answer to the question, why did this happen to me? For the first time, your attention is taken off the past that you can't control and focus on your future, which you have some control over. Yeah, we have control. God gives us to have control over our future. This is what we're really looking for when we talk about closure. Nothing is ever really closed, not the kinds of things we're dealing with here, but can be a total shift in where we place our emotional energy. From an unproductive focus on the past to a highly productive focus on the future. That's not closure. It's open sure. Not closure. It's open. Whether or not we will make this shift is what's at stake here. If we do, a life of satisfaction, meaning, and joy awaits us. That's what Geo found. There was a period of mourning in which he wasn't able to think clearly, but then a light went on. He'd been a poet, but he'd always worked at a job to support himself. Now he decided to quit his job to focus on exclusively on writing, no more doing anything but writing. We got to focus on our gifts because God gives us to him. Why? Because the meaning of his son's death for him was that he needed to accept all the way down to the soles of his feet that he was a poet and writing poetry was what he needed to do with his time. It was as if some dark force had said, I will change your life in a terrible way. But then Geo sifted through the ashes and found the gift. The opportunity to accept and serve who he really was and what was most important to him in life. Most of us don't listen to the universe unless it shouts at us. Geo heard the shout and got the message. He woke up and found himself. Here's a second example. I took it from New York Observer article dated January 27, 2003, about a journalist, Orion Felicia, and her bout with the cancer. When she started to recover, she began writing what she calls her big novel. It was 30 years that novel was sitting in my mind, and I haven't the guts to write it because I knew it would be very long, very difficult, very complex, she said. It scared me. When I got cancer, I found the courage. I'm very grateful to the cancer because it pushed me. I said, hey, if you don't do it now, you die. So the dumb alien I call the cancer alien must leave me alone until I finish that book. If I died the day after I finished it, I died happy. Remember, if you hear that Felicia died, but she finished the book, you must think Felicia died happy. For 30 years, Felicia put off realizing her dream because it terrified her. Her illness gave her the ability to let go of fear. She shows us how much better it is to feel that we live in a universe where the bad things that happen have benefits that can help us become who we were meant to be. Why were you born? A third example has to do with a man named Thomas A. Dorsey. He went through hell, but it's clear that the meaning of what he went through was to help him find his voice and role in American music. He started out as a blues composer. He failed and went into terrible depression. One day when he went to church, He had a religious experience and he found God, but he still hadn't found himself. Then, while giving birth to their first child, his wife died. The next day, his child died. The day after that, more alone than ever. Yet, in a way, closer to his true self. Dorsey wrote his great classic, Reach Down to Me, which became one of Mahalia Jackson's signature songs. He discovered his voice. Dorsey was on his way to becoming the greatest American gospel music composer of the 20th century. None of us is any different from these three well-known people. Whatever reason you went through what you did, it was to help you get what you've been needing in your life. Next section. You mean it really is all about me? When something happens in your life to teach you a lesson, the lesson is all about you. Not your mama, not your daddy, not your kids, not your grandkids, not your boss, not your co-workers. It's all about you. Maybe this is one reason why it's been so hard for people to figure out the reasons why something happens to them. They've looked too hard at the event, not hard enough at themselves. Take a look at yourself. I know you think the meaning would come from the event itself. That's what everyone thinks. After all, what we're all doing looking at some event and saying, what does this mean? But you can't read an event for its meaning. For its meaning, the way you can read an X-ray for diagnosis. Events don't carry their own meaning. We know this because people who've gone through the same event typically come away with different meanings. Let me show you this by telling you about two women. Both were raped. Both were very deeply hurt. For a while, they lost the ability to trust life itself. And they were hungry to find a reason for why this could have happened to them. But each discovered a very different meaning, and this lies an important lesson for all of us. Let me tell you what they said to me. Here's the first woman. Something came out of this horrible experience. I've always been treated like nothing by boyfriends, friends, you name it. So I'd always thought I was nothing, although I didn't realize it. That was the battle of my life. When I was going to wake up to the fact that I was someone who mattered. Remember, you're someone who matters. I'll tell you, being raped really gives you the message that you're nothing. That was the horror of it for me. Being treated so powerful like a nothing. Well, it took me a long time, but I finally saw that if I think of myself as nothing, then I'm doing to myself just what the rapist did to me. And I refuse to do that. The terrible experience really forced me to accept myself as a worthwhile person. I promised myself I would never again reject the real me. Now listen to what the other woman said. It's funny what goes through your mind when something really terrible, happens. When the guy was raping me, I remember thinking, well, you've spent your life being afraid, and being raped was one of the worst fears. Now it's happening. And here's the part I'm ashamed to admit, because what happened to me really was truly unspeakable. But being raped wasn't as bad as living with all the fears I had for all those years. That guy wanted me to be afraid. Why would I do that to myself? That was the beginning for me of learning to live without fear. Learn to live without fear and never again reject the real you. There you have it. Two similar events, but two very different meanings. This makes clear that the lessons you need to learn don't exist in the events themselves. They come to you through what happened to you, and they come because of what you were needing before the event happened. I read on this thankful Thursday, coming upon yourself in the midst of in the midst of life, and you mean it's really about me, it's about you. And the two stories, to sum it all up, you can have two stories, two similar situations, but different meanings, different outcomes. I've read everything happens for a reason. I will catch you guys next Thursday, and we'll be welcome to the Cosmic Kindergarten. Everything happens for a reason. Remember that. Before I end, I will read the 10 principles, the 10 meanings of the events in our lives. 1, to help you feel at home in the world. 2, to help you totally accept yourself. 2, 3, to show you that you can let go of fear. 4, to bring you to a place where you can feel forgiveness. 5, to help you uncover the true hidden talent. 6, to give you what you need to find true love. 7, to help you become stronger. 8, to help you discover the play in life. 9, to show you how to live with a sense of mission. 10, to help you to become the truly good person. Elevate yourself to the highest potential. Have a blessed day on this thankful Thursday. Peace.